And what they taught us is that we'll do more to avoid pain than to go toward pleasure.
You have to find the thing that actually really hurts you, which is seeing that your wife is disappointed in you.
The Harvard goal-setting study never happened. It didn't happen. Somebody made it up at some point.
And I'm just thinking to myself, you need the horrible days to know the good days. Because without the horrible days, it's not a good day. It's just another day.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Resilient Riches. We thought to find somebody who defines resilience. He's an author, a producer, an actor. He actually won an episode of a Survivor show that he split $500,000. So if you're looking for cash, talk to Terry. Or if you need some advice playing in Beast games, you could talk to Terry. But also an amazing author, best-selling author of Never Miss a Goal Again, and the host of the new podcast, Comeback Chronicles, who talks about resilient stories just like us. Terry's an amazing orator. He's run something called the Oxcart Technique that he was on TED Talks that spoke about it, and it was the #2 TED Talk in the world talking about this strategy on how to get goals, how to accomplish. He's a business coach. He's really everything that you are looking for. So on this episode, I'm just going to ask if you could do me a favor. Before we start going down this path, I want you to just take out some notes because we're going to take a lot of action items on how you can be accountable, how you can be successful, how you can take your life to the next stage. So Terry Fossum, we're so excited to have you. Just really excited and really appreciate your time and really coming on and educating our listeners. So thanks so much.
Yair, thanks so much for having me. I love what you're doing here with the Resilient Riches podcast. You're giving actionable items. You know, a lot of the podcasts just give, smoke and mirrors, quite frankly. You give great, factual, actionable items that are helping people. And I appreciate you doing that.
Of course. So Terry, let's just start off, everybody, with one actionable item, how they can hit their goals. If you can just kick us right off.
Yeah, absolutely. What I'd love to do to begin with, if you don't mind, is I'd love to dispel some myths on goal setting, because 92% of the people who set a goal fail. 92%. And there's a reason why. Most of what we've been taught about goal setting is wrong, straight up wrong. There's still lies that are being told, probably inadvertently, from stages around the world, books, podcasts, everything else. And I'd love to dispel some myths because I want to help your listeners finally reach those goals, whatever they are: business, financial, marital, weight loss, whatever it is. Would that be okay? Would that be a good way to start?
Yeah, I think that'd be a great way to start. Get people already successful.
Okay, let's do it. First of all, the one that I really love is the Harvard goal setting study. Most of us have heard of the Harvard goal setting study. It's been in #1 New York Times best-selling books and everything else. And it talks about different iterations, depending on what you've read, that 100% of the people who wrote down their goals in this study reached them. 100%, which would be great if it was true. Here's the problem. The Harvard goal setting study never happened. It didn't happen. Somebody made it up at some point, and it's been repeated so many times from so many credible sources that it's considered fact, and it's just not.
So you would consider that fake news? That would be fake news.
That
would be
that would be absolutely fake news at this point, And I don't want to say that it's not important. Writing down your goals is important, but it's not enough. So the next one is, and I'm sorry if I'm going to hurt some feelings here. I hope I don't hurt anybody's feelings in your listeners, but just dream it, and the universe will go to work making it happen for you. I'm sorry, guys. It doesn't work that way. God helps those who help themselves, and so does the universe. You're going to have to work for it. Now, positive visualization, important, critical, but not enough. And yet that's all we're taught is dream boards. Positive visualization. How is it going to look when you reach your goal? Manifest that you're there. Not enough, or more people would reach their goals. Now, would y'all like to hear some things that do work?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's get into this. First of all, understand that emotion, not fact, is the driver of all action. Again, emotion, not fact, the driver of all action. We can hear all the facts in the world, but until we have an emotional response to them, it won't do it for us. we won't take the action consistently that we need to take. Okay. Point number 2. Let's bring in some Nobel Prize winning science. Prospect theory was developed in 1973 by Klyman and Tversky. And what they taught us is that we'll do more to avoid pain than to go toward pleasure. More avoid pain than go toward pleasure. When he applied it to economics, which is, of course, a lot of what you talk about on your podcast here, they won the Nobel Prize. So this is real science. This isn't pseudoscience or some questionable, sketchy application of science. This is a real deal. How does this help us? We associate pain with getting out of our comfort zone, right? Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, getting out of our comfort zone's painful. Thus the name. It's uncomfortable, right? And we have all of these self-doubts and these fears that are uncomfortable that start to creep in when we get out of that nice, comfortable zone. Now, I equate it, and again, you mentioned I won a survival show, which I still can't believe. That still trips me out. Let's be honest here. But I've done a lot of that kind of stuff all around the world just for fun. I've done a solo backpacking trip deep into the Arctic Circle, did survival in the Amazon jungle, all sorts of just weird stuff like that because, well, I'm strange. But one of the things I've learned about hypothermia is when we first start getting cold, what do? Gents, help me out. When you get cold, what do you do?
And we start doing layers, we move, we do whatever we can.
You rub your hands together, you try to make yourself warmer. It doesn't really help.
Yeah, there you go. We try to take actions initially. In fact, our body even tries to take action. It shivers, right? When you get cold, you shiver, right,
Yeah,
Jim?
you gotta move.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually your body's physical reaction trying to create heat, create energy. But at some point, well, we stop shaking and we stop feeling cold and we're comfortable. And at some point, we stop trying to take any action at all. And at some point, we fall asleep and then we die. That's the same thing with our comfort zone, folks. The exact same thing with our comfort zone. At first, we try to take little actions, but if that doesn't work, it's uncomfortable, so we stay in there. But maybe we'll try a little bit more. Maybe we'll vibrate, we'll shake, we'll do something, and then we stay in our comfort zone still. And then at some point, well, we just don't feel that urge to get out anymore and try for that goal. Why should we? It just keeps not working and not working. And at some point, we stop trying. And
So
at some point, go ahead.
Are you saying that if you don't have any more pain and discomfort, that you will get comfortable in the shit you're in? Is that what you're saying?
That's exactly right. The comfort zone is where people and dreams go to die. Because at some point, you fall asleep in your own sort of way.
You just give up. It gets too hard. It gets too uncomfortable, too painful. But then, you just give up. You just say it's not worth it anymore.
And how many times you see people that say, you know what, I want to do this. I want to do X, Y, and Z, but I don't want to actually do the work that's getting them.
Well, no, they want to do what Terry was saying before. They just want to dream it and imagine that it could happen. And that's what how they think it's going to occur. But shocking, you actually have to do some work towards getting your goal.
It's a new concept.
Shocking.
If you want to lose weight, you got to actually eat less.
You got to eat less. You got to be on a diet.
Yeah,
if that's your goal.
If that's your goal.
That's maybe not your goal.
It's not my dad's goal right now,
Exactly.
but we're trying to convince him to make that into his goal.
It's motivation. It's emotion.
Yair, does your dad listen to this podcast?
Not really.
Okay,
my mom
good.
definitely does not listen to it. My wife definitely does not listen to it. But it's okay.
It's a good thing, or you'd be in trouble right now for telling
It's
her
okay.
that.
She's not listening. I would get in trouble if she was listening.
She's got mom ears. She heard anyway.
She goes, why'd you talk about me? She calls me the other day. She goes, stop saying my name in your videos. I go, well, if you listen to my videos, then you would realize I'd
we
say
did that
way more.
one time a year ago, but it's time changes. It warps itself around.
Yeah.
And will she let it go? No.
No. She can't remember what she did yesterday, but she can remember what I said 10 years ago. That's the difference.
And you guys can't. I mean, I got my kids. They said, when I was in grade 7, you didn't help me with my homework, and that's why. Sounds like a you problem.
If you would have helped us, then it would have.
Sounds like a you problem.
Stop interrupting Terry. Leave Terry out of this.
No.
Terry, continue. We don't want to hear.
Bring it on, y'all. but I mean, it's absolutely true. And that's a whole different discussion for a different podcast. So what our job becomes is that we need to create more pain because again, emotion is the driver of all action. So we need to create emotion to get us to take action. If getting out of our comfort zone is associated with pain, then we need to create more pain to kick us out of the comfort zone. You don't get pulled out of the comfort zone, not for long. You regress back into it. You have to get kicked out. You have to get pushed out. And that's where the Oxcart technique came into being. It was from my own failure. It was from one of the lowest points in my life where I finally gave up. In fact, yeah, we've got time. If you don't mind, I'll tell that story real quick.
Love to.
All right?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the deal. You know, you said all these.
I don't think we could stop you, even if we said no, it's not all right. I don't think we could stop you personally.
It's
That's just my feeling.
Man.
He's a Midwestern. He's
just being polite. Yeah.
Terry's a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's your podcast. I'll do whatever you guys want.
Sure.
So here's the deal. You said all those different accolades about me. You know, #1 best-selling author on Wall Street Journal, #2 TED Talk in the world, Los Angeles Man of the Year, all this kind of stuff. Those are things I've done. It's not who I am. In fact, to be quite honest, I don't know who that guy is because here's who I am. I was raised in literally the poorest city in the entire United States of America. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my hometown, McAllen, Texas, right on the border of Mexico. You've heard about it in the news these days. That's the place. It could be a little rough growing up there sometimes with the gangs and the drugs. In fact, I was on the wrong end of an assault rifle in junior high in my own back alley, wondering if my next breath would be my last at 14 years old. When I was at high school, my dad, was killed. Before he died, one of the neighbors came up to him and said, I just want to make sure you understand something. Those 3 boys of yours, your 3 sons, not a single one of them is going to ever grow up to be anything. So that's my background. That's who I am. And I tried to get out of it. I tried. And I studied all the motivation stuff. That's where this is coming from. All the motivation stuff I could get my hands on, all the goal setting, all the self-improvement, the tapes. I'd be driving in high school. I'm driving down the street in my car. I'm either listening to Mozart, Motley Crue, or Zig Ziglar. I told you, weird guy. But I tried everything, man, everything I could. And I got into direct sales, actually. And I tried, and I failed. And I tried, and I failed. Just like this comfort zone thing we're talking about, right? And I tried, and I failed. And I failed, and I just got to the point where I couldn't fail anymore. And I walked into my bathroom, and I looked at myself in the mirror. I said, I guess he's right. You're never going to grow up to be anything. And wait a minute. No. For the sake of the memory of my dad, if nothing else, I refuse to let that son of a gun be right. And something happened. Something clicked inside of me. I got pissed, all right? And it was no longer about going after this goal of a big house and a fancy car, because I don't care about those things. And it was never going to happen to a kid like me anyway. But now I had something to go away from, not the carrot, to go toward the stick. Never grow up to be anything. I got back at her, brushed myself off, and still a long story, but short, I became part of the top fraction of 1% of my entire industry in the world because I had something more uncomfortable than the feeling of getting out of my comfort zone, pushing me forward. That's when the Oxcart Technique was born.
When I was building my business, I was dating somebody at the time, and I go to them and I said, every single day, I think I even told you, Dad, that every single day I wanted to come home and I just wanted to puke because of the stress. And I would just like, oh my God, I'm so stressed. I need to just like get it out. And at that point, when one time I said, I'm not making any money, I'm so stressed, that's when it clicked for me. And that's when I went, oh, that's the way to say this. That's the way to sell this. That's the way to be successful. That's what I have to do. And I never forget that point. And that's really where it came from. So that deep discomfort said, I don't want to be uncomfortable anymore. And I want to push and then be successful. You have those awakening moments in your life. And I'm sure so many people can relate to that.
That's actually what it comes back to a lot of times. Like you talk about resilient riches, and yet Yair always asks the person that we're talking about, what was a moment for you?
Why'd you have to ruin it? You just ruined it.
And that's really what it's all about.
This was he didn't know this. I didn't prep Terry for this. He was going to get stunned.
God, it's fine. Don't worry.
LA
He wasn't listening anyway.
The LA Times of the year.
It's like your wife. She's not listening anyway.
I'm sorry. Did you say something?
No, but that's really what it's all about. That's really what it's all about. And I'm Orthodox Jewish, and I always put it into the framework of religion for that reason. But there was something going around on the LinkedIn the other day with some communication, and people are saying, "Oh, I had a very horrible day," and I'm just thinking to myself, you need the horrible days to know the good days, because without the horrible days, it's not a good day. It's just another day. So you need that contract, and you need that horrible days to be able to know what's going on.
And let's face it, that horrible day they were having wasn't that horrible compared to what a real horrible day is, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Of course not. Yeah. All perspective.
So Terry, can you break down the Oxcart technique?
Absolutely. It's so simple, but so powerful. And in my book, Never Miss a Goal Again, it gives examples of all of this. It takes you all the way through it. I've got the coaching program where I help people through it, et cetera, and the podcast we'll talk about. But here's the deal. 3 pages. 3 pages, that's all it is. But you got to do it. They're 3 powerful pages. The first one is your daily action plan, okay? Pretty simple. Your SMART goals, right? But it's the things you absolutely will do to reach your goal every single day. Not want to do, not hope to do, not plan to do. You will do. They're not goals. They are absolutes. I will absolutely do it come heck or high water. So they've got to be something you can do with your schedule, et cetera, et cetera. It's got to be doable. This is not shoot for the stars, hope for the moon. No, absolutes. I will make 3 new contacts a day. I will do 3 new follow-ups a day, whatever it is. And they've got to be within your control. Okay, that's the easy one. Everybody knows what you're supposed to do, right? But sticking to it is a different story, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's all about discipline. It's all about the discipline.
It's all about the discipline. How do you stick to that discipline? And that's why 92% of the people have failed. It's not that they don't have discipline. They don't have the appropriate motivation on a daily basis to stick to it, to give them that discipline, which often is a stick. Funny you say that, because the next piece of paper is your stick. I call it the failure scenario. What happens if you don't reach your goals? Because understand, this will be more powerful, and as prospect theory taught us, for most people, depending on the individual and the situation, more powerful than the carrot to kick you out of your comfort zone. What's it look like if you don't reach your goal? If you do not follow what Yair tells you on the Resilient Riches podcast, you don't create that generational wealth. You don't create that nest egg. What does your life look like? Let's be honest here. Emotion is the creator of all action. It's got to be emotional. It's got to be real. You ought to read mine. It'll bring tears to your eyes. Well, you already know part of it. Never grow up to be anything. He was right, etc. Okay? By the end of reading that, you should go, there's no way in the world I will let that happen. No way. I will do whatever it takes. What does it take? That next piece of paper you already did. It's the action plan, your daily actions. The third piece of paper, your success scenario. Finally, your positive visualization. How amazing is it going to be if you reach your goal? Consider this for a marriage. Okay? Not just, I'll have a happy marriage. No, I'm going to live the rest of my life with the woman that I love. I'm going to be there for our grandchildren. Holding hands like old people that we love to see on the subway, whatever. Let's look at failure scenario. Failure scenario. I married an attorney. She can take me for everything I've got. That's the funny part, not that funny. But the truth is, on my failure scenario, which you'll read in the book, by the way, my actual failure and success scenarios, the look in her eyes, this woman that I love more than anything else on the face of the earth, that look in her eyes that I've disappointed her, that I've done something stupid, that I've hurt her. The fact I will never see my kids, they're all stepkids, again. That kind of thing keeps me on the straight and narrow no matter what. And doing the other nice things for her every day to make sure we have a happy marriage. Questions, gentlemen? comments?
So the main thing that you're talking about is you have to find the thing that actually really hurts you, which is seeing that your wife is disappointed in you. And you have to, the big difference that we're talking about here is using negative motivation to actually fuel you into positive motivation. What most people do is they say, I need to book 3 appointments a day. I need to make 3 calls. I need to do this. And if I do all that, I'm going to have beautiful cars, a home, and all this other stuff. But what you're saying is, I need to book 3 appointments, 3 things a day. If I don't, I'm going to feel like a loser.
Yeah.
And if I do, I'm going to get to that car. There's one more piece in the middle is what you're saying. You're creating like the pickle in the sandwich.
He likes pickles.
I like pickles a lot.
He likes pickles a lot.
I'm not sure that analogy, but yeah. No,
Yeah,
but
I'm not sure about that analogy
true.
either. He just likes pickles. He just wanted to say something about pickles.
I'm on a new diet.
Love it. So yes, it's that missing piece of the puzzle.
So let's break that down with money. I'd like to talk about that piece. So
Absolutely.
Can you give an example on somebody who's looking to become a business owner and be more successful and be more financially well?
Absolutely. What if you're not? Let's start. I mean, again, you know the steps you need to take. You've got the steps. You know they're easy to learn. But the motivation is the hard part, keeping you out of your comfort zone and into action, sticking to those steps. What happens if you're not successful at this business? If you're, well, that's okay, not a big deal. That ain't going to work. All right. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Not just for you, for the people that you care about, for your spouse, for your kids. What's their education going to be? What about healthcare? We don't know what's going to happen with healthcare. We have no earthly idea. What does that mean for that person you love so much if they get sick? What does that mean? And if this starts hurting, you're starting to do it right, because that's the emotion you need to create. Now, for all those that are going, oh my God, you can't do that because the world will go to work and make that happen. No, that's not true. Okay. But part of that is at the bottom of that piece of paper, there's a line that's in the book that is basically, this will not happen. I will do whatever it takes to make sure that my failure scenario does not come true and my success scenario does.
It's pretty amazing.
It's been called the biggest advancement in the science of goal setting in recent history by one of the 50 best brains in science by Discover magazine. Marshall Goldsmith, one of the 50 top 10 business brains in the world, endorses it. T. Harv Eker, one of the biggest on and on and on. It blew me away that the people who've come out for this technique that I was afraid would get this horrible pushback. Yeah. The truth is it works.
Well, we find that also working a lot when you're building wealth, and wealth is all about motivation. Being successful and making more money is all about motivation. If you are in your comfort level, you are not going to be able to build more wealth. And the reason is more wealth in your current situation. So for example, if you're really comfortable in your job, then all of a sudden you're making $150,000 a year, and you don't start asking around what other people are doing in your job and in their jobs, which are similar to you. So I had a client at Amazon right now, and she's like, "Oh, I'm at Amazon. It's great. It's doing awesome." And the next thing you know, I said, "Why don't you start asking questions and see what other peers are doing, so you can see if you're actually in line?" So she goes from Amazon, she looks at Facebook or Meta, and she goes to Meta, and she asks the exact same person, and they say, "Oh, actually, you should be making about $75,000 more doing the exact same position," because she was comfortable. So then I said to her the other day, I said, "You need to have the motivation to do that, not that I have to tell you." And she's like, "Well, I don't want to live like my parents lived, who are immigrants from China, and they didn't have any money, and they lived in affordable housing." So she used that negative motivation to then get her into the actionable items of being more successful. Not questioning is a huge downside. And I think it's a big part of Judaism, is that we are drilled as children to question the norm, to question the comforts that we are in. And that allows us to be a lot more successful.
But I would say one other thing, one point also, which I think is sort of being not really directed at. Let's say you set your goals at whatever age and you reach those goals and you're content with those and you're happy there. Doesn't necessarily mean you have to do new goals. There's no reason to do goals just for the sake of doing goals. You want to have your life that you imagine and that you want, and you get it, and great, and you're there. So sometimes that's enough. Sometimes that's fine.
What do you say to that, Terry? Because we hear that a lot.
I say that I love that, to be perfectly frank with
Love
you. Okay?
Nice
I
guy.
love it. Because look, what we all really want to have is happiness, right? We want to have joy. It just means different things for different people. And if you are truly happy, truly joyful, and you are secure, there's the piece in there we've got to have, though. You are financially secure for whatever might come up, for your future, for your kids' future, for your generation's future. Then fantastic. Again, I am my happiest in a tent in the middle of nowhere. I'm happy if I have a tent, let's face it, because I do survival again. Now, do I have a big house and a fancy car? Sure, I've got all that stuff, but it could go away tomorrow and I just would not care. That is not what drove me. That just was a byproduct of this success. That's all. So, no, I love that. I really do. Be happy, whatever that means for you. I've told my own boys, and I told Yair this yesterday, that I told my sons, again, stepsons, but they are my children. They are my sons. I don't care if you grow up rich or poor, famous or unknown. I demand that you are honorable, and I want you to be happy. That's it. Now, as Yair and I talked about, they are following a lot of Yair's principles, which are right now, they don't make much money, but they're putting away every single month. It is compounding, and they will retire as at least millionaires, probably multi. But yeah, I love what you said. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, Terry, you've had this amazing career and you built this Oxcart Technique. So let's just talk about somebody who wants to build a business similar to yours. They want to write a book. They want to push themselves. How are you able to build a successful career doing what you love? I mean, that's like it's mixing your passions with actually making money.
I have failed, and I have failed, and I have failed, and I've tried again, and I've failed. Look, I've screwed up more than anybody. Let's be honest here. A lot of times people think, when you ask them, what's the opposite of success? Well, it's failure, right? No. Opposite of success is not failing. Every single person that succeeded at anything has failed and failed and failed. So my advice to them is get out there and fail. Get out there and screw some things up, man. Try something and screw it up. Try something else and screw it up.
I would add to that also, and don't be afraid of it.
And
Don't be afraid to fail.
Embrace it. If
Embrace
you are
it.
at a point where you're not failing, you ain't trying. If you're failing and like, oh my God, this is terrible, I want you to go, yes, I am on the road to success, because failure is not a stumbling
I'm in
block.
life. I'm living. I'm in life.
Amen. Amen. Where there's life, there's hope. What was it? Cicero and Grover both said, where there's life, there's hope.
I know Grover from Sesame
Was that what
Street.
he's talking about? Grover from Sesame Street?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize
Versus
that you were
Cicero?
actually.
Is Cicero on Sesame Street too?
I don't know. My kid likes Blippi.
Or was that Cicero from the Roman Empire?
My kid likes Blippi and Miss Rachel, but we have to cut out Miss Rachel because she's like very anti-Israel right now. So I'm like,
Oh, yeah, I can't have that.
it's not a great vibe for us. It's
Yeah,
like,
we're not going to go there.
No,
No, we don't want that.
no, we don't have.
Not today, especially.
No. But so Terry, you keep failing, you keep failing. Great. And I say that, throw crap at the wall.
Yeah.
But I think the big question that we get is like, what should I do? What should I? It's even before I failed. Like, what should I do? So how do you get someone from 0 to 1? That's my ultimate question.
Okay. Find somebody who's where you're at and ask them how they got there. You know, what are the steps of how you got there? And of course, there's a lot of information online. A lot of it's crap, but there's some good stuff online. But it's amazing. A lot of successful people are happy to tell you. You know, people ask me, you mentioned the book. How do you write a book? Throw up on paper. Do not start at the beginning. Whatever you do, don't start at the introduction. You'll never get it done. You got some ideas in your head, just start throwing up on paper, man. If it's on screen, on a piece of whatever. Worry about format and everything else later. Just start getting it down. Make that first step, whatever it is that you're looking to do. Take the step, even if it's wrong. I say ready, aim, fire. It's not ready, fire, aim. No, you'll never get it going. Ready, aim, fire. Just do it. Screw it up, learn from it, and do it again. Does that help? Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I think the most important piece is actually talking to people. I found success in this business because I started just talking to people. I was in the fitness business, and then from the fitness business, I got into the financial services business, and it's because I was able to just ask people like, "Hey, you seem successful. What are you doing to be more and more successful?" And that's really how to engage. Find people that you look up to that are honorable people. And that's really important that you said about your kids. Find people that are honorable people. Ask them how they got to be successful. People tend to like to tell that story. They'll open, if you're listening and actually say it from a place of authenticity, people will continue the conversation. You don't have to ask them to be, all right, well, can we have every 3 days I can call you all the time and bother you? It's like, hey, can I call you like once a quarter to just check in, to tell you what I'm doing, to see if like I'm going down the right path? You don't need to like require these people to mentor you every single day if you want them to be more and more successful. If you do it like that, you're kind of top of mind, and all of a sudden they'll start giving more and more to you. And I find that super helpful when you're trying to really build. It's crucial for people who are looking to get game change. And then once you get to that point, it's the motivation that's really going to get you to the next level. And it doesn't matter what your income level is. We have clients making $1 million a year that are trying to get to 5 million. They're also asking people the same question, and we're constantly thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're so spot on, because I have people ask me, pretty often, will you mentor me? So, well, I have a program. If you want to work with me one-on-one, I've got a program for that you can get. Don't just ask me to spend my crucial time for free every single day. But
People love free consulting. People love free consulting.
Don't they love free consulting?
Love it.
Yeah. But if you want to, just like Yair said, if you want to ask, once a quarter, you want to check in and throw some, ideas back and forth. Yeah, once a quarter, sure, why not? Great advice, man. Great advice.
Yeah. So how do you let's talk about getting some of these finances to the next level, like specific financial tools. Let's take some action items before my question that my dad already stole. So can you give people some actual action items to get themselves to the next level, to get to goals? So let's like rocket fire 5 of them, Terry, because you did that to me.
Okay, absolutely. Number 1, stop wasting money. Stop throwing money away. One of the things that drives me insane is when I drive by a Starbucks or other type of coffee shop. Drives me insane, because I know those people are spending too much money on things that are not bringing value. And I'm drinking Folgers. I'm doing okay financially. I'm drinking Folgers. All right. And again, it's not about, when you're talking about your budget, it's not what can you afford. It's what you choose to afford. I choose to afford one heck of a nest egg and generational wealth. That's what I choose to afford, not the latest cool car or something. So that would be a second one right there. Look at your budget every single day and look how you're spending it. Next, and Yair and I talked about this yesterday on my podcast. He was kind enough to be on my podcast yesterday. And it's pay yourself first. Too many people, well, yeah, at the end of the month, I'll take what's left over and put it towards my investment. No. You start with that, because you can live on less. You can live on a lot less right now. And I've got examples in my book of exactly how you can do what I'm saying here. People from all walks of life, from a welder named Joe, I think was his name, and how much beer he's going to stop drinking, but still drink beer, or cigarettes he's going to smoke. Don't go there, boy. But to what he can do every single day. So I think that's a lot of it. Watch what you're spending. Stop spending so much. Pay yourself first, and set up an Oxcart for this, because it's going to help you stick to it. And I'm going to, again, brag on Yair here, because one of the things that he talked about on my podcast was how he works with his kids and the finances. So they're part of it. So they're getting that financial intelligence right away. I think that's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, and we spoke about yesterday how when I was taking Aiden to like the stores, and I say, Aiden, you have a budget of $5, and like, let's go out. And so he's like, is this $5? Is this $5? Like, no, Aiden, that's like 70, and like this is like 25. Like, and he was really like having a lot of fun with it.
Sure.
We ended up buying nothing, but it's the same thing. And I was saying to Terry,
that's the best goal, when you buy nothing.
When you buy nothing, of course.
Yeah, I know.
At Toys R Us, it was hard to find something for $5 and under, but it was the same thing that we actually kind of did. It was like, you really set up like, hey, we're not going to spend any money, or we're going to spend $5, or this is our budget for the trip, and this is what we're actually going to do. So it's like that generational wealth passed from you, and I'm sure your parents did the same thing with you.
Father,
father. With your father, and then his father did it. So it's like generational wealth building through mindset and through doing it for your kids, and it becomes part of the tradition.
Yeah, my father didn't like to spend any extra money. All my friends were getting color TV. You may have heard this story once or twice. All my friends are getting color TV. I say to my dad, let's get color TV. Everybody's getting it. It's so good. He says, you have color TV, black and white.
I love it. I love
And
it.
it reminds me of another story that we had with a client. He also was having problems with his budget, and he wasn't, he was difficult. So we come in their budget. He's spending $20 a day on lunch. He goes out to the truck, he buys lunch. I say, you know how much money you could save every day if you make yourself one freaking sandwich, which will probably taste better than
Yeah.
what you're already getting from the truck. But the guy just couldn't do it. He just couldn't make the transition.
Well, and when I'm working with people on that aspect of it all, is okay, then what can you do? First of all, again, let's look at your failure scenario. Which is worse, taking a sandwich, or being poor or not being able to pay for health care or whatever? Which is worse for you, you know? And that kind of puts it in a little bit of perspective. Well, crap. Okay, yeah, your wife gets cancer. What are you going to do? Oh, no, but you got your sandwich. So that's where the stick really comes in handy. And I did want to say, with the way you read these pages, failure scenario, action plan, success scenario, it's problem solution format. So you don't end up feeling terrible like you started with. You end up feeling fantastic. You get rid of that discourse feeling that you built up with elation of your success scenario. Just like any good movie you've watched. First of all, they got to take you to the pain of your main character. How horrible it is that he's about to die and everything, and then you end up with your happy ending. If it was just everything's merry and bright, it wouldn't be a good movie. That's another reason that this Oxcart technique, done properly, morning and night, works so well.
Yeah, it's an amazing technique. Terry, you've had this amazing career. What would be that defining moment in your life that taught you how to be so resilient, that taught you how to be so successful, and taught you how to be able to pass that on?
And I gave you some time to prepare before by
emotionally.
prepping you. So we're expecting a pretty in-depth answer.
My dad on his gravestone will not write patient.
I'm trying. It's one of my goals actually right now.
To be more patient.
Yair said you are
be more
very
patient.
trying,
Wow.
actually.
Yeah, not so easy.
That's it for you.
That's enough. Let's hear from Terry.
My son
no.
inherited that gene from him.
No,
Which
I'm
one?
enjoying this. Is like this podcast is coming with a show. Y'all keep going. This is No, I think really I kind of said it. That defining moment for me was finally giving up. That's it. I quit. That was a big defining moment, and to come back from that is pretty significant. When you're at that point, not too much can hurt you from there. And that's why on my podcast, The Comeback Chronicles, I'm interviewing people, and Yair was one of these people, also the founder of Dippin' Dots, the guy that sold art.com for $300 million, a lot of other amazing people, but not telling about how great things are now, but rather the comeback stories they went from. Those are the stories that help us.
You should try to get Donald Trump on your podcast. That would be a good comeback story.
Did I mention we're not going anywhere near any of that? Did I mention?
Just saying,
Joe Biden.
Joe comeback. He has a good comeback story.
Biden 2028, the great comeback. Hunter Biden.
Moving on. But yeah, I mean, it's those comeback stories they're important for everybody to understand and listen. For everybody listening, if you are going through what you are, I'm not going to say if you're going through the hard times, you are going through the hard times right now. You've got something going on, man. You've got some battle you're fighting right now. I know you are. Why? Because I am too. And everybody else is too. Don't let anybody try to pretend to be too cool. We're all going through it. I just want to make sure you understand you are not alone. All right? You're not alone.
You don't have to be alone.
And you don't have to be alone. Absolutely. There are other people that are going through the exact same thing, probably even worse, odds are. Don't give up. This is your comeback story that you're writing right now. And this is the story that's going to inspire other people. If you're just some silver spoon son of a gun that never had anything bad happen to him in his life, nobody cares. Nobody needs to hear from you. But because you're going through what you're going through, this is going to help other people. Use it from a position of strength. You're not weak. You're building your strength right now.
Terry, thank you so much for the time. How can people get in contact with you? How can people sign up for your coaching? How can people buy your book? How can people follow you? Can you give us your shameful plug?
The podcast.
Oh, the podcast, my shameful plug. Really, the easiest place for pretty much everything is terrylfossum.com. TerryLFossum.com. I'm not very imaginative. It's got everything there, including pre-orders for the second edition of the book that was called the Oxcart Technique, now Never Miss a Goal Again. You can get pre-orders right now. A lot of great new stuff added in there, man. I'm really proud of this book. So you can go and pre-order it right now. Depending on when you're watching this podcast, it may be in print already. Comeback Chronicles Podcast. Join me right there, comebackchroniclespodcast.com. And yeah, some amazing stuff going on there. And then reach out to me. I want to hear from you. What can I do to help serve you better? Because that's what I'm all about at this point in my life.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for coming on. We didn't have enough time to ask you about how you won the Survivor contest. That was something else, and also how you kept such good hair for so long. Those are two really deep questions that I was looking to ask. It's really exceptional.
Impressive.
You can have
grace of God.
You can have dementia with this hair. It doesn't make a difference.
My father kept his hair until the end.
I say it all the time. I say nobody cared that your dad had dementia. They just cared that he had a full head of hair.
And not all gray. He has some black still in there.
Yeah.
So I don't know how.
It's
really not happening to me.
No. I think I'm going strong. I switched it up. I put some biotin.
Yeah,
biotin
sure. You believe what you want.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Young age, you can.
A youngin. I'll just plug it. It's fine. Well, Terry, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you for all of our listeners. We really hope you gained a lot and you took some action items. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe to our podcast. Right now, we're at about 1.4 thousand 5-star reviews on Spotify. So if you have a 1-star review, do not send that over. Send that over to somebody else's podcast. But check out more of our content. We're putting out episodes weekly, and we're really put a lot of effort into these, and we really want to add value. So if you have questions, or you want to see a different guest, or if you want to see something different, please just reach out to us. We're always happy to connect. And as always, if you're looking for financial services and some financial guidance, reach out to us too. Thank you, everybody, for coming on. We'll see you on the next one.